The early morning mist clung to the rolling hills of Cisalpine Gaul. Dawn's first light glinted off the bronze and iron armor of Rome's legions, their formation precise, disciplined, unyielding. Across the horizon, a dark tide gathered. Thousands of Germanic warriors, their wild cries carrying across the river like a storm. This was no ordinary clash. It was the fateful confrontation that would decide the fate of Rome's northern frontier. In the Roman camp, Tribune Lucius Valerius paced beneath the fluttering standards. His eyes, sharp and calculating, traced the enemy lines in the distance. "My centurion," Lucius said, turning to a grizzled officer, "the Germans are bold today. Their numbers swell like the Danube in spring. But they lack our order, our discipline. Rome does not fear chaos." The centurion, a veteran of a dozen campaigns, nodded. "Our legionaries are ready, Tribune. We will not falter." Rome's legions were a marvel of organization. Each cohort moved as one, shields interlocking, pilum poised to strike. Soldiers adjusted their helmets, checked their gladii, and whispered prayers to Mars, the god of war. Around them, the camp buzzed with life. Cooks stirring porridge over open fires, scribes recording the day's events, and engineers reinforcing wooden palisades. Across the battlefield, the Germanic tribes, Cimbri and Teutone, shouted their war chants, brandishing axes, spears, and crude shields. Their chieftain, Boiorix, mounted on a massive stallion, raised his hand. Obey, Rome bleeds. Today our warriors take what is rightfully ours. The ground trembled as the first wave surged forward. Dust rose like smoke, mixing with the metallic scent of armor and the tang of fear and adrenaline. The Roman front lines held firm, shields clashing with axes, gladii finding gaps between leather and chainmail. Lucius spotted a weak flank where the Germanic line began to buckle under relentless Roman discipline. He barked orders. A cohort's two, wheeling left, pushed them toward the river. The maneuver, executed with precise coordination, funneled the invaders into a deadly trap. Amid the chaos, a young legionary, Marcus, fought desperately, his tunic soaked in sweat and blood. "For Rome!" he shouted, thrusting his gladius through the enemy's shield. Around him, the clash of war became almost musical, the ringing of metal, the thunder of hooves, the cries of victory and defeat. But Rome's triumph was not won by brute force alone. Behind the lines, commanders communicated via signal flags and horn calls, orchestrating the battle like a grim symphony. Logistics mattered. Water, food, and medical aid flowed efficiently, allowing soldiers to fight longer than the Germanic warriors, who, despite their numbers, began to falter. By midday, the tide had turned. The Germanic tribes, exhausted and demoralized, attempted to retreat toward the river. Rome's cavalry, swift and ruthless, cut off their escape. Boiorix, realizing defeat, threw down his sword, raising his hands in surrender. Lucius approached the captured chieftain, his expression calm but stern. "Your warriors fought with courage," he said, "but courage without order cannot overcome Rome." Boiorix's face, bloodied and bruised, betrayed both fury and respect. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Roman soldiers tended to the wounded, burned the remaining enemy encampments, and counted the spoils of victory. In the distance, the campfires flickered, echoing with laughter, lamentation, and the songs of victory. Rome had triumphed not because of sheer strength alone, but because of strategy, discipline, and the unwavering belief in the empire's might. For generations, the Germanic threat would loom, but the memory of this decisive victory, where Rome turned chaos into order, go through history, immortalized in both bronze and stone. The morning after the battle, the Roman camp was quiet, save for the occasional clang of a smith repairing a shield or the murmur of soldiers tending to wounds. The air smelled of smoke, blood, and wet earth. Rome had won, but victory demanded vigilance. Tribune Lucius Valerius walked among the men, inspecting the aftermath. He paused near Marcus, the young legionary whose courage had saved a cohort's flank. "You fought well yesterday, Marcus," Lucius said, resting a hand on his shoulder. "Remember this lesson. Bravery without discipline is nothing." "Rome thrives because we fight as one." Marcus nodded, exhaustion etched into his face. "I understand, Tribune. I see now why the Germans, though fierce, could not stand against us. While the legions celebrated quietly, the political machinery of Rome stirred. News of the victory would soon reach the Senate in Rome, along with reports of casualties and spoils. The victory was as much a message of power as it was a military achievement. Lucius knew that success on the battlefield strengthened his influence, but failure, even in minor skirmishes, could ruin a career. In the governor's tent, maps were spread across a wooden table. Strategists and officers debated the next steps. "We cannot allow these tribes to regroup," said Gaius Fabius, Caesar's centurion. "The morale is shattered, but their lands are vast and difficult to control. We need forts along the rivers, scouts patrolling the forests, and alliances with friendly tribes." Lucius nodded, tracing a finger along the riverbank. "Our victory here is a reminder. Rome does not merely conquer. We secure, we organize, and we civilize. Let the Germanic tribes see not only our might, but our method." Meanwhile, life in the surrounding villages continued. Roman merchants reopened their shops, farmers tilled fields, and children played in dusty streets, unaware of the scale of the battle that had raged nearby. For ordinary citizens, Rome's power was a shield, an invisible force that allowed markets to thrive, roads to remain safe, and law to prevail. In a nearby hall, a captured chieftain, Boiorix, was brought before the Roman commander. His once proud armor was dented and streaked with mud. He met Lucius's gaze without flinching. "You Romans are clever," he admitted. "We attacked with numbers, but you struck with order. You taught us a lesson we will not forget." Lucius's voice was calm but firm. "Let this lesson be remembered, not as hatred, but as caution. Rome offers peace to those who submit. Those who resist find their fate in battle." As winter approached, Roman engineers began building roads and fortifications in newly secured territories. Soldiers rotated between garrison duty and patrols, ensuring no Germanic resurgence. The army's presence transformed the land. Bridges repaired, granaries stocked, and villages rebuilt. Evenings in the camp were marked by rituals and stories. Around flickering fires, soldiers recounted the day's feats, sang songs of Mars, and told tales of Rome's founding heroes, Remus and Romulus, Camillus and Scipio. These stories were not mere entertainment. They instilled pride, unity, and the belief that they were part of a destiny far greater than themselves. Yet in the shadows of victory, whispers of ambition and intrigue stirred. Political rivals in the Senate would debate Lucius's conduct, commanders would vie for favor, and the memory of Germanic blood spilled would fuel both fear and respect for generations. Rome had won the day, but the eternal dance of politics, war, and legacy had only just begun. As the final embers of dusk faded, Lucius gazed toward the horizon, where the forests of Germania loomed dark and silent. "Rome is strong," he whispered, "but we must always be vigilant. Peace is never given. It is earned with courage, strategy, and the iron will of our legions."